This is the Senate Foreign Relations nominations hearing for Governor Sam Brownback to be the Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, and Ms. Michelle Sisson to be the U.S. Ambassador to Haiti. Thank you both for being here with us today and for your willingness to serve. As I told the nominees earlier, I'm going to abbreviate my opening statement because we do have votes scheduled in the Senate at 11. These are important nominations, and I want to make sure everybody has time to answer questions. I would also encourage the nominees, as your statements, opening statements, will be in the record. Make sure you say what you need to say, but I know our members are looking forward to engaging with you, and we want to make sure they have the full opportunity to do that. On international religious freedom, I just think any sort of cursory glance around the globe will reveal daily assaults on religious freedom. In Burma, we have nearly 500,000 Rohingya Muslims that have been forced to flee their homes to horrific violence. In Iraq and Syria, ancient Christian communities, Yazidi, and other religious minorities are on the verge of extinction. In Iran, the Baha'i minority is ruthlessly persecuted. In Pakistan, draconian blasphemy laws sentence innocent people to death. In China, the government shuts down underground churches, bulldozes Tibetan Buddhist centers. In Cuba, the Castro regime regularly arrests the ladies in white on their way to Mass every Sunday, including this past Sunday. In Saudi Arabia, the official textbooks teach hate and intolerance towards religious minorities. So, sadly, there's no corner of the map that is untouched, and that's why a robust American engagement on behalf of the beleaguered faith communities is an urgent need, and I think in our national security interests, so the hearing could not be timelier. As I would say, Governor Brownback has been a long-time champion of the issue of religious freedom globally. He sought to ensure that America's first freedom is infused into our U.S. foreign policy. Among other things, he was the driving force in passing the original International Religious Freedom Act in 1998, which created the position he's now nominated to fill. In Haiti, yesterday, Ms. Sisson and I spoke about the challenges and opportunities in Haiti. Florida, my home state, has the largest Haitian-American diaspora, and I remain engaged in the community and in the many challenges facing their nation of birth. One of the major areas of concern is the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti, known as MINUSTA, is scheduled to withdraw on October 15th, just a few days from now. The new security mission is smaller than the original mission. And so it's vital that the United States support international efforts to enhance and maintain security in Haiti. Ongoing natural disasters, global health challenges like HIV, AIDS, malaria, and cholera have also undermined Haiti's ability to meet its full potential. I personally have seen firsthand the potential of the Haitian community when they have given the opportunity, as they have in Florida, and I'm committed to supporting U.S. initiatives that promote good governance and security. And hopefully our foreign policy will remain committed in that direction. I'll now introduce Senator Kaine, and then obviously also our ranking member, Senator Cardin, joins us, and he may have some comments he would like to make at the opening, and then hopefully we can proceed to a brief introductory statements and get right into the questions. Again, we apologize, but as Governor Brownback knows, the Senate does things this way. So anyway. Senator Kaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and the ranking member, Senator Cardin, is here. Him and I have worked together now on countless human rights issues, so much so that people are starting to say we look alike. I don't know. That's what they're saying. That would be good for me.
Oh, that's
Senator
a great
Cardin.
compliment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. And Senator Rubio has been a great champion on human rights, and I think he would agree with me that we're all students of Frank Wolf. And
thank you. And so Senator Kaine went to vote. When he gets here, he'll assume the gavel until I get to go a chance to get over there and get back. So in the interim, I'll just use that time to try to get my questions in, just to bring further clarity, because a number of the questions have pulled you in that direction, Governor Brownback. And so I want to kind of refocus a little bit on the job that you'll have. The job of the ambassador at large is to advocate for religious liberty, which is oftentimes challenged, or almost invariably challenged, in places where either the population of that particular religious view is a minority in numbers, or even if they're a majority, the government is of a different persuasion and targets those individuals for persecution. And so the job that you've been nominated to do is basically to advocate for the religious liberty of all religious entities and denominations and views around the world, irrespective of their size, their theology, or their views on one particular issue versus another. If there is persecution on the basis of religion, or oppression on the basis of religion, or the denial of liberty on the basis of religion, your job would be to advocate for that freedom for them to practice in peace. That is the scope of the job that you've been nominated to. Is that correct? Not to litigate theological points or policy differences beyond the scope of that liberty.
That is, and I also think that's the strength of the position, is to stay in that lane that is bipartisan agreed to, that has seen these bills pass with large majorities or by unanimous consent on international religious freedom. You start to veer into these more difficult issues and discussions, you will lose support for the job, you'll lose support for the position, and the position will be less effective, if effective at all.
Now, in terms of the position itself, last year the Congress passed the Frank Wolf International Religious Freedom Act, which, among other things, elevated the position you've been nominated to internally within the State Department so that it now is, by statute, required to report directly to the Secretary, which was designed to combat years of the position and the issue being relegated to a sort of secondary concern rather than being fully integrated into U.S. foreign policy. Secretary Tillerson has informed the Senate of his intent to have this role report to the Undersecretary for Civilian Security, Democracy, and Human Rights, and I want to state clearly here and on the record that runs contrary to the legislative intent of the law that Congress passed, and it is something that we object to. I'm not asking you to opine on it, but I do want to use this opportunity to make clear that that is not the intent of that law, and we would view that as in direct violation and contradiction of the law that was passed. That said, I want to hear more about how you intend to, obviously recognizing the limitations you have here before us today, how do you plan, what would you do that you could share with us to elevate the international religious freedom issues within U.S. foreign policy at large and within the ranks of the U.S. State Department? Because that was the intent of this law, not just to require direct report, but to elevate the importance of this as a critical component of our broader foreign policy.
As one of the original sponsors of the 1998 Act, I thought the Frank Wolf Act really improved on what took place in the 1998 Act. The 1998 Act was groundbreaking, but I think it had some limitations to it that a number of people saw. One of the big things I think needs to take place is what you put in the Act of having a cross-agency, cross-section group that meets to advise and work on international religious freedom issues. So it's not just within State Department, it's also the security apparatus and the aid organizations. And I look forward to working with that and bringing that multi-agency approach to this task of religious freedom. Because I think that's the effectiveness that the Congress is looking for, that I certainly want to implement in this particular in this particular bill and in this particular area. And as I said at the outset, which I'm just firmly convinced, we have got to get more focus on this by a broader cross-section, or we will not be effective in this. And if we're not effective on religious freedom, you're going to see violence continue to grow in many places around the world. So I look forward to implementing the Frank Wolf Act.
Well, and just as an aside, and perhaps an editorial moment here for me, but and you can agree if you'd like. In fact, I'd prefer if you did, but I don't know about to say, but I think you will, and because we spoke about this yesterday. You see the plight of the Rohingya Muslims that are facing persecution in Burma, and I would argue that has a direct national security implication for the United States. To their credit, the leaders of that community have been very resistant to, and they've rejected efforts by radical elements to reach out and sort of take advantage of the situation. That said, when a population of people anywhere in the world is being persecuted, mistreated, and in this case even killed, they become vulnerable to outside actors showing up and trying to take advantage of those circumstances. And it is yet another example beyond the humanitarian concerns of why it is in the national security interest of the United States to ensure that people around the world have an opportunity to live in peace and prosperity. It is the right thing to do morally. It is also the pragmatic thing to do, because that instability, that suffering, that violence, those humanitarian catastrophes all create the conditions within which radical elements and bad actors around the world, that is their playground. That is what they took advantage of in Syria with regards to the sectarian abuses occurring on behalf of the Assad regime. And so again, this is another example of why that is so important. I want to now turn to Haiti for a moment, obviously a very important part of this nomination. And I always tell nominees, if you're not getting a lot of questions in our hearing, that's a good thing. But I do want to ask, because it's so important to Florida, Haiti has had such a difficult history. We know it, and we know the struggles they've had. On the issue of Haiti, one of the decisions the White House and the administration will have to make soon is about whether or not to continue to extend temporary protective status. And I'm not asking you to opine on what they should do. I'm asking you to give us insight as to what the implications would be if, in fact, TPS is not extended and Haiti is asked to assume a significant number of people over a short period of time. In your view, what would the implications of that be for the Haitian government in terms of absorbing this reentry? What would the implications be for them? If TPS was not extended and people were forced to return, what would it mean to the Haitian government, to their capacity, and to their ability to handle that?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. I mean, as we know, TPS was extended for an additional 6 months and is set to expire on January 22nd, 2018. So the process is, of course, that under the Immigration and Nationality Act, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary has the authority to designate a foreign state for temporary protected status. But before a decision is made for what will happen in January of 2018, of course, DHS will consult all relevant government agencies, including the Department of State, in determining whether conditions for TPS continue to be met in Haiti. So,
Ms. Hassan, I apologize. I understand the process for
Right.
making the decision. My question is, what, in your view, would it mean? I'm not asking you to tell me whether they should or shouldn't extend it. I'm just curious your views on what it would mean for Haiti if, in fact, TPS is not extended.
exactly, Senator. You know, the embassy in Port-au-Prince is part of this process. They are contributing to a country conditions assessment that looks at infrastructure, health, sanitation services, continued ability to respond to disasters. So if confirmed, I'm going to want to keep the lines of communication open with you, the senators, and the staff in terms of the implications for the U.S. partnership on the ground and what we're doing with Haiti. I believe that a number of the programs that we actually have in place now in terms of assisting with economic livelihoods, assisting with agricultural and food security, these economic growth programs, these educational programs, these health programs all help build a resilience with our Haitian partners in order to respond not only to the natural disasters. Of course, the TPS was put into place after the earthquake in 2010, but also building the resilience for the eventual return, if this is determined, of approximately
And I apologize, I have to
9,000.
go vote, and my time has expired, and I know Senator Kane has questions about Haiti as well. I would just say, I understand as a nominee why you don't want to delve into this is what it would mean to Haiti. So I just want to say this. I think it would be difficult for them to absorb it if that's the decision the administration makes, which I hope they do not. But if they did, my view is that the embassy will have a lot of work on its hands, and the government of Haiti will require a lot of assistance. And so it is my advice that, even when confirmed, as I anticipate you will be, that you make that argument, that in essence, you guys make the decision you need to make, but if you decide to terminate TPS, we better step up our presence and our operations here, because the Haitian government's already struggling with the people that are there now. Any large influx of returnees will strain that, and we will need to have greater capacity to help them meet that demand. Again, unsolicited advice, but I think it's good advice, but it's my advice.
I look forward to continuing to work with
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
Senator. Thank you.
I second that emotion. I think that's very good advice.